authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation.
Guadalupe River near Kerrville. Nearly a dozen girls and one counselor are still missing from a Camp Mystic. It's a private Christian summer camp in the town of Hunt. Texas officials are calling the rescue and recovery efforts a marathon. They say more than 850 people have been rescued so far. And as their work continues, residents are also stepping in to lend a helping hand.
Everyone's just trying to do their part. You know, there's it's a horrible sense of search, right? Because you're searching for something you hope you don't find. But at the same time, you know, if you've got family members that are missing, you hope there are people out there looking for them.
President Donald Trump has declared a disaster declaration for the area. That's giving first responders access to more federal resources.
So as we heard, kids missing from this camp. Apparently, news reporters are asking why there were not more preventative measures like basins, things dug in lieu of high areas to be commonly known for these type of natural disasters to occur. Unfortunately, they were not. And so people were not alerted in these areas when the flood hit. Apparently it hit like the flood of Noah's Ark, and in minutes they were flooded out and completely disarrayed from their situation. And now a lot of people have been found unalived, as well as children. Trump has sent in the relief immediately in this natural, very disastrous disaster. It only occurred only a day or so ago, and Trump has already sent the necessary funding that it needed to help get this natural disaster behind Texas. Let's continue to listen.
Next day, we know this family, the couple, were missing in their 70s, and waited for the road to clear. On the 5th, we came and we searched for about 10 miles. We found two bodies, a little girl and a little boy, and then we finally came up here and we found the dad that we were looking for. And today we came back because we haven't found the wife. We believe she's still here in the area, and so we had a great group of people show up, about 40 to 50 volunteers, just looking through rummage and digging up as much as we can. We knew that they weren't really searching this way past Mystic, because I know we need to help those girls, but we were able to find him. So we were hopeful we would be able to find her. It turns out it's very difficult. It seems like it's getting more and more tedious to find. We were focused where we found the husband, Mr. Jose Olvera, thinking because they were holding hands when they got washed away. And we focused there and trying to get as closest to the body as we could, but we just started kind of going that way. And then we found him next to the house where he lived, just 25, 50 feet in the creek. It's just been so sad because you first see the post and it's about 30 people that are missing, and then it's like people are missing and we don't even know, and then all of a sudden they're found, and families and kids, and it's like never ending. You know, you scroll through Facebook and the count is going up, and I don't know, and we're just hoping people can find their loved ones so they can, you know, have some rest and relief, because the unknown is what's killing people. I've driven down from Hunt, and it's the most horrific. As soon as we saw how horrible it was, we kind of knew there weren't going to be survivors. It's just been difficult. It's really hard to go through the river and trying to find anything. The guys have fallen here and there. We're using backhoe to maybe shake up the trees, see if anybody's stuck up there, but it's been very difficult.
Hi, Harley. Billy boy. You want to hold on to it? The father was found yesterday. The team found 2 kids too, downstream, and so we're just scouting the area, both sides of the riverbed. Found an article of clothing from the mother, and we were tracking and tracing opposite sides of the riverbed. Hello. So I have 8 dogs with me today. Belgian Malinois. We have 1 husky too. The husky is incredible with finding carcasses, and the Belgian Malinois, these guys can traverse any terrain. These guys are always looking for something alive, dead.
Flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
Campers from Camp La Junta lucky to be alive this morning after they say they had to swim out of their cabins during flash floods in Kirk County. That camp just a few miles up the Guadalupe River from Camp Mystic. That's where more than 20 campers are still missing this morning. Thanks for waking up with us on this Saturday, July 5th. I'm Adriana de Alba. We're going to have a look at your holiday weekend forecast in just a moment. But first, we're following the latest updates out of the Texas Hill Country as search efforts continue this morning in those deadly flash floods. This isn't just impacting Kerr County, but other counties near the San Antonio area. This is new video here you're looking at out of Spring Branch, Texas. That's in Comal County. Storms rolled through those areas again around 2 this morning, with more rain expected later today. At last check, more than 230 people in Kerr County have been rescued and evacuated. The death toll is now up to 24. Efforts continued throughout the night to find more than 20 missing girls from Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe River. Those floodwaters rose more than 20 feet in the span of 2 hours. And just before we came on the air, we learned a director for a different camp near the Guadalupe River died in those floods. Heart of the Hills is a girls' camp in Hunt, Texas. They released a statement last night saying their director and co-owner, Jane Ragsdale, did not make it. That camp says it was not in session when the floods began. But other camps were. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick were in Kerrville last night, promising to find every missing person no matter what. One North Texas family says they are lucky to know their child is alive. Our Teresa Woodard spoke to them moments before they left to reunite with her.
And she wasn't even supposed to be at this session.
I spoke with Natalie and Jeff Dunning moments before they left North Texas, not long after they discovered their daughter, a Camp Mystic camp counselor, is safe.
I feel very, very sorry for the parents that don't know yet.
Communication from the Hill Country is hard. They don't yet know what their daughter saw or went through. They only know she was at a place she dearly loves.
She became so close to God, and that's actually where she was baptized, was in Mystic last year.
They call Camp Mystic magical. When you look at pictures the camp previously shared on social media, you see it. And when you look at Hannah Dunning and a camp picture she posted days ago, you feel it. Feel why she stayed an extra session at the very last minute.
She stayed there. God put her there for a reason, so that she could help.
Help the youngest campers, some still missing. 8-year-old Hadley Hannah of Dallas among them. Her mom gave us this photo, hoping it helps her find Hadley.
We will do everything humanly possible to find your daughter.
After an emotional promise from the state, Texas game wardens posted grainy photos of rescuers reaching Camp Mystic. Some happy reunions seem imminent. The question is, how many?
I think if you're a God-fearing person, just please praise these babies will get back to their parents.
Really hoping for more of those miracles and happy reunions, right, Cassie? Truly devastating. And I understand the National Weather Service actually issued the flood watch warning in many of those areas for tonight, right? Bring us up to speed on that.
Yes, so we still have some flood watches in effect for parts of Hill Country right now. So you can see where those flood watches are. There's even a flash flood warning down there as well. That's because we still have the rain that is currently falling. Now, closer to home, we don't have that, but we still have some rain. Here's just some of the rainfall totals that took place so far. In fact, looking at Ingram, 10.33, Kerrville 3.97, Hunt 6.55, and some of these areas still receiving that rain. You can see where that flash flood warning is. So we've got a little area spinner, an MCV. And this has been not moving a whole lot. The rain is finally starting to let up a little bit, but they don't need to see any more rain.
There's very few concrete paths that even remain. The RVs were swept away, the concrete was swept away. I mean, the little ground is scoured away.
So all of this happened the day before the 4th of July, guys, okay? It looks like it happened on the 4th, 3rd, maybe. Okay.
Looks like a hurricane tore through Texas Hill Country. But this storm had no name and no warning.
We realized that the water is rising really fast.
Car horns screamed as vehicles shorted out underwater.
We started banging on everybody's door, getting people out.
If you were lucky, someone banged on your door. If not, this is how you woke up.
Was this a worst case scenario because it's the holiday?
Absolutely. They were full. They have 14 reservations missing. I have 6 people missing.
If you didn't get out on time and you were in RV, this is unsurvivable. Look at this. This RV shredded, wrapped around the tree. There's another one there, and then you can see another one down the river. This whole area was full of RVs, cabins. Everyone was here for the holiday weekend. This is a really popular area to celebrate the 4th of July. And it's gone.
Everybody lost everything. There were some people that were able to get out, but only in their underwear. With their dogs, nothing else. Nothing else.
No time.
No time.
The forecast called for up to 6 inches of rain. Up to twice that fell. People went to bed believing that they'd wake up to fireworks, not flash floods.
I was expecting rain, but not a flood.
I slept through it. It was the last night we didn't know anything. It was when we woke up this morning.
The thunder was crazy, and I couldn't sleep. So at 2:30, I started checking because it was just non-stop, and it was hard rain.
Along the Guadalupe River, at least 18 summer camps sat directly in the flood's path. At one camp alone, officials say around 20 girls were unaccounted for. Parents and guardians lined up at a nearby elementary school, waiting to hear if their child's name would be called.
Some very emotional moments happening behind me. In the school bus are children who were at their overnight camps. So there's a lot of summer camps that are located right along the Guadalupe River. And so many of these parents had no idea if their children were okay or not. The river rapidly rising in the early morning hours, washing away cabins and sadly taking numerous lives along the river. These kids being brought from their camps here to the elementary school to be reunited with friends and family.
We saw that it had flooded up here and just kind of didn't know, and the not knowing is the worst part. So both her and my son are real strong swimmers, so I wasn't real worried about them as far as in the water. But you know, water moving that fast is insane. That's all you can think about.
In the town of Hunt, the water hit harder. It took high-profile military vehicles just to reach the survivors, pulling up like lifeboats on wheels, soaked, shaken, and silent. The survivors climbed aboard, their lives reduced to whatever they could grab.
We get flash flood warnings on our phones all the time. It's like the Amber Alert, or you live in Texas, you don't really think much of it, and obviously we were wrong.
This chilling video captures the river rising in real time, each lightning strike illuminating just how fast the water was climbing. Inside London's home, floodwater surged up the staircase, step by step, second by second, until escape was nearly impossible.
We got to the top floor, and it just kept rising and kept rising. And we were getting ready to go on the roof. Like I said, we had tied bed sheets together to bring ourselves to the top. And right before we climbed out, we realized that we were fine. Well, we realized we were fine because the water had obviously started to stop and go down, and fortunately we were okay.
Terrifying. That's the only way you can describe the force and fury of water. That is the Guadalupe River behind me. I'm in Kerrville, Texas, the Texas Hill Country. This section right here was a part of this apartment complex. It was lifted off its foundation, carried about 100 feet away into the parking lot. The only thing that stopped it, these old oak trees.
Wow.
I spoke with one girl who had just graduated from college. She had just left for work around 5 this morning, grumbling, of course, about working so early and on a holiday, but that might have saved her life.
Honestly, I've been running every day, and I would record like that little bridge, and every time I would get it in the clip, it was dry. Like there was barely any water, so I was never expecting it to hit this high up. At most, maybe like the railings, sure, but I didn't expect it to go from like dry to be this high up.
Within a day?
Within hours, because I was here right before 5, and by like 5:30, this was basically the way it is right now.
Where do you work?
HEB.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, did you ever think work would save your life, or
No, I
you probably
did not.
hated those early hours?
I was like, I'm here so early, but I'm glad I did.
So agencies from all over are flying. I've seen the National Guard, local sheriffs, any helicopter basically available. I think they're flying up and down the Guadalupe River now, actively searching, hoping to rescue.
Of the roughly 237 people rescued on the first day, 167 were lifted out by helicopter. Many of them children from the flooded camps. State officials say the search won't stop. Not during the day, not when the sun goes down, not until every missing person is found.
I think what's so astounding is just how high the debris mark is here. That's 20 feet at least.
The water was not like that. The water was raging.
My birds are gone.
In a matter of 10 minutes, it went from there, maybe 15 minutes, went from there all the way to my deck, right there, all the way, and another 5 minutes to get that way. But it was completely, I mean, I had 2 feet of water in my house.
About 4 months worth of rain fell in just 6 hours. The Guadalupe River rose to nearly 30 feet, possibly the highest ever recorded. We don't know for sure because the gauge broke.
You just see how the ground scoured from the force of the rapids of the water that ripped through here. There were numerous RVs, and they're all swept away. Sadly, one RV that was down there, that family was swept away. Amazingly, though, the owner of this campground, search and rescue teams were able to get door to door, and most people escaped.
Like the catastrophic flood of 1987, campers were caught off guard. It happened overnight with no real warning during a holiday weekend when families were sound asleep. The Guadalupe is the kind of river that invites you to relax. That's what makes it so dangerous. It lulls you in, then takes everything. It was a perfect storm, and it built a Texas-sized catastrophe.
But we were really fortunate. Houses are replaceable, cars are replaceable, people are not, so.
This is where little girls should be making memories on the 4th of July, not where police dogs search for their bodies in a flash flood no one saw coming. The Guadalupe River didn't rise, it ripped lives apart.
We've got chainsaws, all shapes and sizes, varieties, shovels, some recovery tools.
Volunteers joined hundreds of state, local, and federal crews combing miles of devastation.
I'll be honest, if I had a loved one missing, these are the kind of people I would want searching for them. Very well prepared, very well organized, and just willing to do whatever needs to be done.
The missing could be anywhere, in the treetops, in the brush, or buried beneath what the rivers left behind. A drone can show you the damage, but only down here can you hear what the water took.
How long did this happen?
I was sleeping in there when it happened.
So how are you here?
That's a good question.
But it's hard to celebrate survival when death is still in the water.
What's even more tragic is I'm talking to Christian about how he was able to survive the flash flood. A body was found floating in the river.
The headlines can't keep up with the death toll, and neither can we. From July 4th to 5th, it kept going, from Hunt to Kerrville to Georgetown and Burnett.
It scared the hell out of me. And so, I can't believe this happened. And there was no warnings.
This was supposed to be a holiday weekend in the Texas Hill Country. Instead, we've watched families lose everything. And now the search for the missing is what matters. This is what's really happening out here.
This has got to be just the service you don't want to, but you feel you have to.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for anybody that can relate to this feeling, it's a terrible deal. So whatever we can do to help.
Over 850 people have been rescued, but 48 hours later, the hope of finding more alive is fading. This is Camp Mystic, a beloved girls' summer camp tucked into the Texas Hill Country. Early July 4th, as floodwaters surged through the Guadalupe, at least 24 campers were swept away, while counselors scrambled to save the rest. Search teams now stretch from just outside of Hunt to Kerrville on foot, on horseback, and by helicopter. Volunteers, law enforcement, and locals are scouring the valley mile by mile. In and around Hunt, the damage is some of the worst. Homes ripped from their foundations. But in the center of town, one old building stood firm, and it saved the life of its young owner.
And I woke up around 3 a.m. to the storm, to super loud thunder. And originally I thought someone broke into the house because I didn't even know it was supposed to be raining, let alone a flood coming. So I swing my feet over the bed, and my feet hit the floor. I'm like, that's water. I walked in here from that door right there, and there used to be a wooden deck right there through that door. And I looked to my left, and I saw that was just ripped up, and the water was just flooding in from there.
So at that point, how high was the water when you first got up?
It was about like a little bit higher than my ankle.
So I mean, at that point, I mean, that's scary, but it's not.
I was like still confused, like what's going on.
So then you open the door and a flood of water just rushes in.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to close it. I don't know why, but yeah, I started walking back this way, and by that time there was furniture in the way right here that I was having to climb over.
And I'm looking here in your kitchen. I mean, the water definitely.
Yeah, it got up to the ceiling. This is where I was sleeping. I came back in here, and then that wooden box credenza thing was in this room, and I had the air mattress in here, so I threw all my stuff on the air mattress, and I was trying to get on the air mattress, but at this point it was like above my head. I had to think of how to get out of here. I tried opening the door wouldn't open, and I noticed the window was broken, so I swam through the window.
Not climbed, you swam.
Yeah, the water was high enough to where I was like standing like this against the window, and I could pick myself up. I picked up my feet, and I went through feet first. Climbed onto the meter box, and I was standing up here for like 3 hours, and the water was up to my knees at that point while I was standing up there.
So you couldn't quite get up onto the roof?
No, I tried. I mean, you can see where I tried to pull on the gutter, and the gutter bent. I couldn't get up there, so I was standing here until the water finally started going down, which was like 3 hours later.
As far as warnings, Christian said the first emergency alert came long after it was too late.
There wasn't any sort of warning about the flood until it was already happening. Like I was standing up there, and I got a severe flood warning on my phone when I was holding on there. So I was like, no shit, really.
Across the region, I kept hearing the same thing. People waking up to water with no warning. This was Burnett, Texas, July 5th. Another rain bomb, another watershed overwhelmed overnight.
What seems to tie all of these floods together is that they happened at night, and everyone says they didn't know they were coming. There were no warnings. When Hamilton Creek left its banks, for instance, and rushed towards these homes, folks say there were no emergency responders banging on their doors. There were no alerts coming across their phones. They just heard water, and then they stepped in it. And by that point, it was too late.
Looked towards the door, and I mean, the water was way up there, already coming in, and just in an instant. I called my neighbor and I said, water, I said, I'm getting flooded, Mike. Are you getting water? He said, yes. He said, oh my God.
Cat jumped on my chest and she says, do you know there's water? I said, yeah, it's raining. So I was laying on the couch and I got out, and as soon as I put my feet down, I said, whoa. I mean, it was way up there. I mean, it was, and then it kept getting higher, and I heard some popping going on. I said, oh shoot, the electricity. So I just opened the window and busted the screen out and jumped out. So
And how deep the water was? I guess
Yeah,
waist deep.
Yeah,
Chest deep.
it's right. It's right here.
That has to be like
Yes,
terrifying.
and I had to go real slow because I mean it was slick, and then the currents. I mean they were just.
Fortunately, the woman who lived in this apartment was not home when this flash flood happened. You can imagine what might have happened if she was. There is one concern though, that this flood combined with every other flood might be forgotten. But there are communities like this throughout Texas and they need help. Everything that were inside these apartments, all the clothes, the furniture, electronics are ruined. They're a loss. And in many cases, so are people's cars. The water was up to the dash.
Everything. I mean, all of this is mud. All of this is freaking mud.
Different towns, different rivers, same nightmare. The alerts came too late or not at all.
Well, I'm just worried that you guys might get lost in the.
Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay dipping.